What's up? What's up? It's time for Done Way Past Funny with your host, G.D. Fenderson. Join us as we take a look back at the early works of seasoned comedians before they were seasoned with this week's guest, Aaron Bullitt. It's time to get down and get dope with Done Way Past Funny. Hi, welcome to Done Way Past Funny, where we look at the work of seasoned comedians from before they were seasoned. I am your host, G.D. Fenderson, certified forensic humorist at large, but I'm losing weight. My guest this episode is the one and the only Aaron Bullitt. Aaron, welcome. Welcome, my man.
Thank you, GD, man. I appreciate you. This is about to be exciting. You know, we talked backstage, quote unquote, before we got on, and man, I'm always excited to talk with you and share. And thanks for having me on the program.
Sure. Now, just for the benefit of the people who don't know you like I know you already, tell them a little bit about yourself, how they can stalk you on social media, where you're from, how long you've been doing comedy, stuff like that.
I love to be comedically stocked. It's my favorite pastime. My name is Aaron Bullitt. I am from Louisville, Kentucky. I've been doing comedy for 5 years now. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran. You know, Veterans Day, or I call it Birthmas, was recently passed, so I got some freebies. Let's see more about myself. I own my own company with my girlfriend and business partner. We own Middleman Media. Our main mission is to have moments like this where we connect comedians, host events, or even just help with social media. At the bottom, it's at capital middle _ man media 93 is where I be on all platforms. Usually I have like a business card, and I love saying this to people. I'm like, hi, my name is Aaron Bullitt. I'm on the show tonight. Nice to meet you. Now, here's my business card, right? Now, if you like it, keep it cool. If not, you can wipe your ass with it. Either way, hey, we all got something free today. So
now this I have to ask, because if you have a business card and they wipe their ass with it, is it not? I mean, do you put it on Charmin, or is it you're just not wishing them well? I mean, I have a business card, and it's pretty hard. If somebody wipes their ass with this, they are getting sores. Okay, in other words, it's almost like is this the Aaron Bullitt way of saying fuck you very much?
No, it's the Aaron Bullitt way of saying thank you. It's where there's a little QR code, so when you wipe, it just scans, downloads all social media. And I feel like my girlfriend actually, it's like those little pins. It's like one ply, like 2-3 strips of a moist towelette. So that way, you know, like, because you know you're in a rush. Sometimes you might be like, Aaron Bullitt business card. Woof. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's like great marketing. So that way, as you wipe your ass, you're like, I like that guy. You know, then I give you something to read so you can read the business card. It's all small,
hopefully
experience.
Before they wipe their ass with it, because it would be terrible if they wipe their ass with it and go like, what's that smell? Oh yeah, I just talked to that guy.
Right. Because the nose, people, I'm a huge person on like smells or something that humans underutilize, right? So as you're smelling shit, you're like, Aaron, like it's all about association. So whether you wipe, smell, or look, either way, you're thinking of me. That's all that matters.
Now, because most people don't realize this, but the sense of smell is like the strongest sense, or emotionally, it's the strongest sense we have. I mean, it's more so than sound, more so than sight. It's just the sense of smell. So, with that in mind, what's the best smelling comedy club you've ever, or the best smelling place you've performed in, and the worst smelling place you've performed in?
Oh, that's a good question. I love a good question. Let me see. The worst smelling place I've ever been to.
And why was it bad smelling? Also, you know, not just like it was terrible. I mean, like you can say like it was bad because it was a restaurant and they cooked with, you know, they burnt nutmeg all the time or something, or you can just say they had no.
Okay, so I'd say the worst smelling place. When I first started doing comedy, it's like 4 years ago. There was a Wick's Pizza, which I don't know if you know. It's kind of like a local pizza spot here in Louisville.
Okay.
They had one in Southern Indiana, which rule of thumb for our part of the world, like if you're from Kentucky, Indiana, we just don't mesh. You
Right.
stay over there on your side of the bridge. I'm gonna stay over mine. Like I only went to Southern Indiana growing up just to get fireworks. So like that's the only reason. Like growing up, you ever went?
Were they illegal in Kentucky?
I don't know if they were necessarily illegal. I just know like you get if you want the good shit, you go to Southern Indiana. Like some guy with a tent and maybe 2 or 3 fingers missing is like,
I was gonna say, yeah, missing fingers.
You want to burn some shit up? And you're like, yeah, that's fine. Just put it in the back. That's fine. It's whatever. So it was like it's called New Albany, and it was a Wick's Pizza. So like when you walk in the pizza spot, right, pizza parlor, right, but you go up, they have like a loft area, crack house thing. But what I remember the most is that it was like an old, I want to say cedarwood like smell. So you're smelling like wet cedarwood, right?
Okay.
And pizza. So that smell just didn't like one nostril smelling the wood, one smell the pizza, and it's mixing. And then there's like alcohol. So it was more that it wasn't nasty. It was more like it was just so many.
They don't go together.
Right. So like as I'm like, and I'm a huge smell person. So I'm just walking around like, okay. They're having a pepperoni today. Like you could like, I could tell what type of like liquor and pizza they were selling that day. So it's a Hennessy and a pepperoni kind of night. That's cool. Right. Okay. So I knew my crowd, but the best smelling place, comedy club I've ever been to is actually the one I started. It's called the Comedy Caravan. It's on Bardstown Road, which is like our version of like the Sunset Strip or like our party area in Louisville, Kentucky. And I like it because like, it's like the carpet. It's like it smells like, you know how like when you go in a barber shop, you know, like, okay, you smell products. Yeah. Like, so to me, like it smelled like a comedy club. It smelled like desperation, disappointment, sweat. It smelled like, it just had that. It's like the panels of the wall had this smell like every time I went. Cause it's like a traditional comedy club. You know, sometimes you go down, right? So I call it like going down going down like the not like going, not like, but like, you know, but it's just that smell. And like every time I go there, it kind of like gets me in the mindset of I'm gonna do some comedy today. So it was the first comedy. Like I literally was on the phone. I was like watching Chris Rock's Tambourine special, and I was going through.
I haven't seen it yet. So wait a minute.
It was like
wait a minute. Is that the one where he talks about? Wait, I'm trying to think. Is that the special that shouldn't have been as long as it was? It was like because there was one. I watched one special of his, and he wanted to talk about Will Smith, and he talked about Will Smith, but he had all this extraneous stuff that was just shit. It's almost like he said, I have a 15-minute bit on Will Smith, but I want to fill up an hour show. So let me have all this 45-minute so-so shit. To me, it was just so-so. If I'm thinking of the right one. And then he got to the Will Smith thing, which he also kind of masked it a little, you know.
Yeah,
but
it was the one before that. It was the one where he basically talked about getting divorced. Like the whole premise of the special was being in a relationship. Some people have to play. You're in a band, so sometimes you're gonna have to play tambourine. Like you're gonna have to support your partner.
Okay,
so,
I didn't see that one either.
It was 2018, so I was going through a divorce at the time with my ex-wife, and I remember just sitting on the couch because I'd always liked stand-up. I was always a fan, but like I never knew you could do it as a career. I even went to go when I was in the Navy. Actually, went to go see Dave Chappelle like right when he started because his big joke at the time was like Lil Wayne being like a detective and being like pussy lips. Like that was like the huge bit when he first started. So like I've always been a fan, but I was sitting there, I was watching it, and it just related to me, like talking about being Black in America, being divorced, you know, just everything. And I don't know what happened. Like a week later, I just signed up for the Caravan. I remember like being so nervous. I even wrote a bit. It was like a 5-minute bit about a trip to Atlanta I went with a friend, a military buddy. And I got really high. I drank a little bit. I was just like, fuck it, right? And when I went down, that smell, it just caught my brain. So, and the first joke I ever got out of that was, and this is the first night I did stand up. It was, did you guys know there's 132 Waffle Houses? in Atlanta. Right now, I'm
Oh,
gonna give a
man, now,
backstory.
is that a real number or
That
is
is a
that
real number. Like
okay?
my comedy is based in. I like having a true fact
Yeah, same
because
here.
like
Same here. But I was just asking because some people make up shit, but yeah, that's me. I'm with you. I'm with you. Go ahead.
no, you're good because like we backstory. My friend, we were in South Korea together. He had moved back with his ex-wife now. I went to Atlanta, like just hung out with him, and we're driving, right? And I'm just seeing like Waffle House after Waffle House after Waffle House. I'm like, what the fuck? What is this this is like a liquor store? He's like, no, that's like our state, food. Because like here in Kentucky, we have KFC, which is it's like a whole thing. But I was like, why? It's like, well, statistically, so let's say there's a disaster in Atlanta right now, like Waffle House is like their safe zone. So like you can go there and check, right? So let's say there's a disaster in Atlanta and they go, okay, all the Waffle Houses in the Southwest region are fuller than the Northwest. So that's how they locate stuff. So I thought personally, 132 Waffle Houses, right? That's so many Waffle Houses. You would think it was meant for population control, right? I can see the mayor of Atlanta sitting his desk like, now how are we gonna get rid of these poor folk in minority? Waffle House. Let's give them diabetes and get them out of here so I can build a Starbucks. So and that was So that's why like every time I don't know if it's necessarily a good smell. It's a nostalgic smell of. It reminds me of like the first time I did comedy. So every time I go, I just enjoy that smell.
Okay. Now, see.
And what about you, if you don't mind? What about you? What are your worst smelling comedy clubs and best smelling?
The worst smelling one, I can't remember the name of it. My God, I wish I could remember the name of it. But I can tell you why it smelled bad.
Mm-hmm.
It was they must have had the comedy part was in the basement. The upstairs was they had two stages. The upstairs they had like that was the good stage, and they had a band playing. And then comedy was like it was in the basement. They had a stage. It was almost like someone says, "Well, we have two stages. What are we going to do at the second stage? Let's do comedy." Okay.
Right.
And do we need to clean up that smell? What smell? That smell that we've had down here for 6 years. Fuck, it's just comedy.
Yeah.
That smell. It was carpet down there. It had carpet, so the smell was backed up toilet with too much urine and bleach soaked into a carpet after a couple of months. And that's it. Yeah. And I'm thinking the reason why I'm saying months because I think that's about how long it takes for the mold and fungus to overtake the bleach, because the bleach is there to like get rid of the fungus and stuff, but you can smell the fungus making a comeback. And I think it takes a month. I think it's science. I think if you look up how long it takes for fungus to overtake bleach in the carpet, it's a month. I think it's 33.27 days, but let's just call it a month.
To be exact, like
yes. Let's just call it
keep
a
it
month.
honest. Yeah.
We'll just call it a month. Because it also depends on the type of fungus as well. It's not like all funguses are the same. Yeah,
so different.
So you know what I'm saying then, as a man of science. So
indeed, indubitably.
so that was the worst place, and that was, oh man. And I've been in some places that was really bad. But they were just bad, not because of neglect. They were just bad because, again, combination of smells, like, cigarette smoke and failure,
it's that failure smell. It's so pungent and distinct.
And failure almost smells like body odor. It's pretty close. It's close.
It's like a cousin, if you will.
Yeah, it is. It's It's like they are in the same family tree. Yeah. So but the best place. I'm gonna say I don't know if I can remember the name of the place, but it was a mic. It was an open mic, and the open mic is called Slice. Slice of right of slice. The Slice is right. The Slice is right comedy mic, and there's a pizzeria.
It's always a pizza place or something like that.
Yeah, it was a pizzeria, and I walked in there. I was like, Oh. I was like, and the thing is, but my sinuses are pretty bad now. But as a general rule of thumb, I can cook by smell. If I smell a dish, I can replicate that dish with the ingredients just by smell. And I can open up my cabinet and I can go, okay, it has cumin, it has a little bit of this, matter of fact, that's how I used to pick my spices. I used to pick my spices by smell because you can smell them through the plastic containers. And that's how I cook. I don't cook by a recipe. I cook by smell. And so when I smelled that pizza place, I was like, oh my goodness. Oh, is that fresh homegrown oregano ground today? Like
right
like,
at 3:45 p.m.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God. So yeah, that was the best place. Slice of right, the slice is right. And it's in Columbia, Maryland. And I don't remember the name of the actual place, but the open mic is run by Sandy Bernstein and Gottlieb. What's his Gottlieb? I'm sorry, Walter Gottlieb. They run it, and that's like, it's a good mic too. It's a good run mic, but the pizza, you go for the pizza, you stay for the comedy.
Yeah, and that's a great selling point because that way, like, as you eat your pizza, like the sound of laughter can enhance or annoy you, but the pizza keeps you engaged.
Yes, and the pizza is so good that if somebody is sitting across from you and they do a spit take, you don't mind because you can go like, oh yeah, that is good pizza, thank you. So yeah, that's how good that pizza is. It's it's good. It's good the second time around also. So why the Navy as opposed to any of the other 19 branches of the service?
The Navy. That's a great question. Not because of the
what's the song? Because you almost had your own theme song too.
Yeah. Not because of that. I joined the Navy mostly because I'm allergic to bullets. Even though my last name is Bullitt, I am very allergic. I swell, cramp. So I was kind of like,
do you bleed a little?
Bleed slightly, like I have a slight tickle in my chest, so I was just like 19. I just graduated high school. I was like, man, I know I didn't want to go to college. I didn't get I had a football scholarship opportunity, but I just didn't follow. I was young, so I didn't follow up with it.
Okay, wait a minute. So why not take the football scholarship, and for what position and to what school?
Okay, so it wasn't. It was an opportunity. It was Wilmington College, right? So it's probably like 10 to 15 minutes away from the city of Cincinnati. It's like a D3 school. I had to do my own recruiting. So like, I don't come from an athletic family necessarily. Okay. So no one really knows, like, you got to do recruiting. You got to like, I didn't know. So it was in my email. Like, I just didn't I didn't read an email. And like months later, I was like, hey, by the way, can I come? They're like, fuck no. I'm like, all right, cool. So, I played defensive line, defensive tackle, and defensive end. I tried at fullback, but that's too much running. It's a lot of running. I don't like that.
It's running and pounding. Yeah.
And I'm the kind of person where, like, I like to hit someone, not get hit, because if you hit me in a game, right, I'm going to like slash your tires or kick your dog after the game. Like, I'm going to do it. Like, you might hit me, but like, I'm going to get you. Like, I can't do it. So I think it's funny. I talked to my girlfriend about this. Like, I actually graduated with a 1.5 GPA. And the reason why I graduated with a 1.5 GPA is because
they couldn't go lower. Couldn't go lower.
No, like, so I have this thing where, like, I just believe that school, I love learning, but it's just like the whole sitting. So like, I spent too much time walking around the hallway, like, and I was a football player. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go use the bathroom. I might go get some lunch, talk to the counselor, go sit in my car, spend an hour. I'm already late. I'm not going to turn in the work. So like, so that's kind of where that developed. So I was like, well, I always kind of knew the military was an option. My grandfather joined. Both my grandfathers were in the military. I felt like, well, it'd work out for me. So they don't have it anymore, but it's a place called the J Mall, Jefferson Mall. And I went to go buy a CD. It's called A$AP Rocky. I don't know if you're familiar with the artist, but rapper
by name, not by
song. So I remember walking to go get that CD, and I came out, and I was like, all right. So like they had like the Army, Navy, right? Marines, Space Force wasn't a thing. So deductive reason, I'm like, well, I'm not joining the Army because there's Fort Knox. So I'm the kind of person, I know me, to where like if I joined the Army, they would send me to Fort Knox, and I'd be pissed. Like I would be angry, and I'm not doing that. The Marines, nah, I'm good. I just knew I didn't want to do it. I had a couple of some of my friends' dads were in the Marines, so they're very intense. So I actually did the Air Force at first. I went, hey, I'm Aaron Bullitt. I did an ASFAB, right? Dude was like, okay, I went there on like a Tuesday. They were like, that Friday, take your ASFAB, which is like your evaluation, send it to me, come by Friday at 2, we'll reevaluate it and everything. So I come back a couple of days later, and I go to his office, and dude's not even there, right? So I'm like waiting for like 2 hours. I'm like, what the fuck? So I guess one of their, I don't know what they call it in the Air Force, but I guess the person he was working with came in just randomly. I'm like, dude, where's this guy? Like, oh yeah, Johnson, he's on leave for a month. So I'm like, what? It's like, yeah. So you can like text him or whatever, but so I'm like, you know what? And the Navy was right there. And I'm like, I'm black. I can swim. That's fine. That works for me. I took some classes at the YMCA. I feel comfortable in water, and you get to travel. So I was like, so the Navy necessarily wasn't my first choice. It was like through deductive reasoning. And I enjoyed that. Like, there's this thing, they have like a swim test in the Navy where
I was about to ask you, did they ask you if you could swim, or did they just take your word?
Like, no, so they take your word, but they're like, are you sure? You're like, yeah, I can swim, right? It's fine. So you go to boot camp, and they have the swim test. So you jump off of a Olympics, like literally like the diving. You jump off a pool that big. You have to like dive. You have to like just dive in the water.
Wait a minute, how high is the diving board?
I think it's like an Olympic regulation, like
12 feet, 10 feet, 8 feet.
I think, I don't remember, but it was high enough to where, like, as you're going down, I'm like, what am I going to eat for lunch? Like, I had a couple seconds to think about plans, and I was like, this is long. So you either had to do like a breaststroke, a backstroke. You couldn't traditionally swim. You had to do like butterfly. So, right, I took classes at the YMCA. My mom specifically was like, you're not going to be that black kid that can't swim. You're just not going to do it. You're not going to embarrass me and drown. So I'm like, thanks, Mom. So I'm like swimming like the black dolphin, just going at it, feeling good. All that shit, like, great. And they're like, all right, if you can swim, go to the left. If you can't, go to the right. And I'm like, as I'm getting out of the pool, I'm like, please don't, please, like, let's not do this. And it's all niggas. It's so crazy. And I'm like, what? And but the funny part is, so I'm sitting there like, because you got to do another thing where after you swim, they give you time to rest, and you have to do this thing where you have your coveralls, your uniform, and buoyancy thing. And this dude, I forgot his name. He was from, I forgot, it was like Wyoming or some shit. Never met black people, ever. Never met niggas. And he was like, you can swim? And I just looked at him and go, and you can talk? Funny shit ever. And we just laugh about it. So, like, yes, I was probably like, out of my company was like 400 people. Out of 150 black people, I was one of 5 that could swim. One of 5, like, legitimately. And so we created our own society of like, we're the niggas that can swim. We're like we have our own little like, and it's crazy because like you would think like it's like
Negro Dolphins.
The Negro Dolphin League. Like I was Aquaman. Then I had this whole rant about how Aquaman is the most like important superhero because like our Earth is 70% water. So like all he has to do is like tectonic plate shift and fuck you guys. So that's funny as we're talking. That's kind of how the Navy's actually really kind of how because I'd always been kind of like funny, I guess. Like I always like, but the Navy's kind of where I developed humor because like military humor is very specifically crude. It's like damn near like satanic but funny. Like for example, like I had one of my brothers just joined the Army National Guard, which is funny because Gerard Carmichael is a joke about the reserves, basically being like, it's not that serious. So
Yeah.
But it's funny because when he was joining, he was telling me about like that, like how like with black people, like how you just meet people that have never met black people, or he was saying
Right.
like how the humor is like, you know, like you'll be at attention and they'll be like, "What are you doing? Shit for brains?" Get like, and it's just and like you just think like it's so funny how like there's like no limits. So I think being in the military helped cultivate that of like, oh, like you can say like, they'll be like, "Good morning, fuckface." "All right, retard, how you doing?" Like, and it's just so casual yet so sincere. So I think the Navy, but I actually have an opener real quick, and I tell people that, you know, some people don't like cursing in their comedy, right? Which
Right.
I understand, but I did join the Navy, so I do in fact cuss like a sailor. So fuck you.
Now,
So
the clip that you sent me, because I had a segue for it, but I wanted to show the clip in the first segment, and
yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
I didn't
please.
know how long we were talking, but um, what can you tell us about the clip you sent in? Where was it? How? When was it? Where? Yeah, where was it? When was it? And why was it?
Okay, so that clip was, and shout out, her name is April. Her name is April Gales. It's my girlfriend. She's my business partner, my girlfriend, my future wife, my everything. I want to give her a shout out on the show. So it was the funniest person in Cincinnati. Now I don't remember the date specifically. It was like a month or two ago, and it was just like, I don't know if you have it. Most cities, do you guys have that in Maryland, or like the funniest
We don't
person
have
in
enough funny
Baltimore?
people to do that.
Okay, so
It's like a
they're just
whole
like, what?
city. No, not a whole city. No, we'll do the funniest person in this block.
And real quick, I don't mean to change the subject, but like, okay, is The Wire real? Like, is that real?
It
Honestly.
is. Actually, we have a comedian who can speak more to that than I. But what is their what is their name? Oh, Sandy Bernstein. She actually lived in a neighborhood where The Wire was shot.
Really?
And yeah, and so she always maintains that it's pretty close to real. Now the thing is, um, it's it's pretty fucking close. It's I don't know that it was that sophisticated, but because
Okay.
that's not my culture.
Okay.
You know what
You're
I'm
saying
saying?
like the intricacies might not be the same, but there's hints and hues of inspiration, and they're like
Oh yeah,
there might not be a drug deal that's taking economic classes and working with the government, but there is someone selling crack somewhere, and someone did get shot, and there is
and
a cop. Yeah, there's a cop that's racist. So
yeah, but also there was there was a show that they just did about the the officers that
yep,
were
they were kind of
selling
like, yeah,
guns.
yeah.
Yeah, and I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was like so that was documented, you know, because that's a lot of this based on like court documents and government information and stuff like that. So that happened, and that's like wire-ish. You know what I'm saying?
Wire-ish. I like that.
Yeah,
It should be
yeah,
a sketch. Wire-ish.
yeah.
That's
So
funny.
yeah, it's not too far. It's not
Mm.
far off, but it's it's not a The Wire's not a documentary, but it's not too far off. Hi, I'm GD Fenderson, certified forensic humorist and host of Dumb Way Past Funny. You have just watched part one of our interview with comedian Aaron Bullitt. Please join us as we continue our interview, and when you come back to join us, bring a friend.